Hi everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves a Scrap, and I'm coming to you from the land down under, Australia. Today we're hopping along with the girls from the lands down under. That's right, the girls from Australia. As you can see in our flag, we have white stars, and the girls from New Zealand, and in their flag they have red stars. So there's two of us down under the equator, and we're hopping along showing you our unique Australian and New Zealand animals, and today I'm focusing on the emu. So these photos are of my daughter when she was working at the wildlife sanctuary, and we are looking at the emus. Those emus in there, one of them is called Special and the other one is Ethel, and I'm not really sure what the other name is. I just can't remember because she has told me once but I've forgotten. I've gone through all my papers and I've pulled out some Australian flavoured papers, and I've got this lovely wood grain here from Simple Stories, and anyone that knows my layouts know I love wood grain. I'm using this olive coloured cardstock for my framing. I pulled that out because it's the colours of our gum leaves and our bush, so it ties nicely in with this layout, and it's also the colour of my daughter's uniform for when she was a volunteer. She was training to be an animal handler, and for 2 years she worked out at the animal sanctuary, and these emus in particular actually had a starring role in my older daughter's wedding, because we went there and had the wedding at the wildlife sanctuary. So she has emus and kangaroos and sugar gliders as part of her wedding photos as well, and you'll see those through my videos and over the coming layouts. I have chosen the emu because it is native to Australia. The common emu is the only one left out of the 5 that there used to be, as all the others were hunted into extinction. So the common emu, as you see, is a flightless bird. It's the largest native bird in Australia, and it's 1.6 to 1.9 metres in height. So that's pretty tall, almost 6 foot in height it can get to, and they weigh more than 45 kilograms. The emu can also run up to 50 kilometres, so that's why they call the emu dash. The emus also have dark green eggs, which are quite large and prized by people, and lots of people, particularly Aboriginal cultural people, they will etch on the eggs and use them to create artworks. They also mate for life. So an emu doesn't have lots of partners. They have one partner and they mate for life. Their babies are striped, so they're a little bit different. They're not looking like their emu parents. They are striped little ones, and they run around in the herd or flock with their parents. Emus, another thing, also have 3 toes. So they have really long legs and those bodies that look like fluffy domes, and then those long necks and the sharp beaks. So as you can see there, those emus are the typical common brown emus, and as I said, one is called Ethel, one is called Special, and I'm not sure what the other one's name is, but I do know that Special was a very big feature in my daughter's wedding, with lots and lots of photos of Special being a star person in the photo. She actually likes people, Ethel. All right, so I'm using this paper here. I believe it's a Kaiser Craft, the one with the leaves on it. I think it comes from the wattle or the golden wattle or something like that range, and I like the leaves in it. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to layer them in behind my photos, and I'm using this aged mahogany, which is certainly very quickly becoming one of my favourite distress oxides, and I'm using it to distress the strips here to build up my layout. And as I said, I have worked through this layout, and I change it multiple times as you watch through the process, because how I think it's going to go is in one way, and then I add to it and I change it and I manipulate it a little bit more. I really do like the wood grain in there. It is a rainbow, as you can see, working through, and the distressing of the wood ties in with the wood factor that this is taken at the wildlife sanctuary. I'm using a strip here with the waratahs in the background. That is New South Wales native, and I'm adding in the olive strip over the top, which is, like I said, our natural bush colours with our eucalyptus and so forth. These here are actually emu feathers. I have actually been able to get some emu feathers because at school we've been using them through our Aboriginal education, and these ones are specifically made for crafts. They are from emus. They are from the brown emu, and they are really, really very soft. And as you can see, most of them are doubled. So they're not a single feather, they're a double feather. I'm using them to go in here behind. Look at that, that's a double feather. So I'm using it in here to go in with my strips. And if you can have a look at that one there's got a curve in it where it is the shape of the bird's natural curvature in its feather. And they're very, very light. They feel very different to other feathers. Felt peacock feathers and other birds' feathers that are quite stiff. These ones are very loose and very light and very flimsy, and they curve and they are just very fluffy as well. So as I said, these are real emu feathers, so I thought they were perfect for this layout. And I'm putting them in along the strips here behind. Now, as I lay in my photos, I realise that you don't actually see them very much, but I know they're there, and that's adding to my layout. But I just thought that they were a little bit of extra texture to the layout and added a little bit of a feature and an interest. So, as I said, these emus are at the wildlife sanctuary. The wildlife sanctuary that my daughter was volunteering at for 2 years looks after animals that have been found on the side of the road, animals that are becoming endangered. They also have rescue animals and they have raised them. So it's really nice to see, and it was great for my daughter, a perfect experience, and she got to learn how to work with the native animals as part of her role as an animal handler. This animal sanctuary is at Bargo, which is in New South Wales, and it actually is well worth a visit. If you're ever in New South Wales and you're looking for somewhere to go, the wildlife experience by going here is amazing, and you get hands-on experiences with the animals, which is really, really unique and to this wildlife sanctuary. So she often will go back and visit, and she's looking to go back and hopefully volunteer again because she really did enjoy working with the animals there and the family that runs it. And as I said, my eldest daughter actually had her wedding at the wildlife sanctuary, and that was an awesome experience for everybody involved. So the emu here, pardon me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat, still recovering. The emus here are very inquisitive, as I've said, and they will come up to you. Been at the zoo myself when the emus come in over the top and will take your food out of your hand. They're not afraid of it. They will just come and approach. Out in the wild, people see them running along the fences. As I grew up, I used to see them in the reserve across from where I used to live, and they used to run along the fence lines there. So they were quite common place seen for a long, long time, even in suburbia. Where I live now, out in the bush, I can occasionally see emu along the fence line up near the dam, but not as much as they used to be, which is sad as the habitat is being decimated by housing, which is very, very sad, I feel, for our native animals. All right, so I'm cutting triangles out of all of these papers that have the Australian theme. I've got some flowering gums on my papers. I've got the sandy colour of the sandstone of our natural environment in the ochre. And I also have some gum leaves through that other bluey greeny colour, picking up the colours from the background distressed wood. So you can hear my dog in the background. Sorry, Ivy's very playful this morning. This here, I decided I really like these feathers. I love them. I think they're just gorgeous, and they just touch and add that extra authentic touch to it. I cut out on my Cricut the title Emu Encounter, and I've put those feathers there as my embellishment for that title. I also cut out the silhouette of the emu there so that it will tie in with the theme of the page. I really wasn't sure how this was going to come together as I was putting it and pulling the pieces. I had an idea of what I wanted, but I wasn't sure it would actually work. But I'm pretty pleased with this outcome, actually, that when it's finished and I come back to it afterwards, I'm actually very impressed with how it turned out. So I'm putting in a fishtail banner there just to tie that in. It also adds like a arrow to draw your eye back to that photo. I use foam tape here to lift my silhouette of my emu up off the background, making it nice and a shadowed effect, which is what I wanted with the silhouette, because you often see the emus against the sun and give a shadowing effect. To finish off my layout, I'm going to add some faux stitching around my border, and that just neatens it up and tidies up the edging and also gives it a distinct layering effect. I have got my strip across here, which I have highlighted with the faux stitching as well, and I'm using my white gel pen to just add in my journaling of my daughters and where it was that these photos were taken. And this, as I said, was when she was volunteering down at the sanctuary. It is the Australian Wildlife Sanctuary at Bargo, and it was in 2022 that she was doing her volunteer work to finish off her course. Now, she worked really hard that year. She was going to TAFE 1 day a week. She was volunteering one at the Australian Wildlife Sanctuary and then the other day at Featherdale Wildlife Park. And she was working and holding down a job as well. So she really worked hard that year. I think she worked 6 days out of 7. But you do this when you have a passion, and she has a passion to work with the animals. And the experiences she got while doing this were phenomenal. So I'm just capturing these photos, putting them together for her, and also hopefully passing on some information to you about emus and what they're like and how authentic and unique they are to Australia. They really are a flightless bird. They don't fly. Those feathers there are just stunning, aren't they? Look at the detail of those feathers. They're beautiful. I put in those enamel dots there just to tie in the colours and build my visual triangle. And I have used my Cricut, as I said, to create that title, to build it all together. So this is my layout for this week's Hopping Along with the Girls from the Lands Down Under. It is the emu. It is the largest native bird of Australia. I love how this came together. The colours are just so rich. They're glorious. You can see the details that have gone into building this layout. It's just simple. They're just triangles and squares, and they're just layered on top of each other. But those feathers add that little bit of authenticity to it and add a little bit of interest for the person that views the page. The emu silhouette there is a perfect addition. And there's my layout for this week's Hopping Along with the Girls from the Lands Down Under. I'm Kathy from Kathy Loves to Scrap. I hope you liked something. If you did, give me a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know you want to see more of what I'm doing. Please consider subscribing if you already aren't, so that you can stay up to date with all of my videos. Leave me a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I can be found under Kathy Loves to Scrap on all my socials, including Instagram, where you'll see all my layouts, including those without a video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate. Happy scrapping. Until next time.